Hello, fellows, and welcome to my channel, and also welcome to another live stream. And this is, of course, the Royal Retinue review, where my patrons and channel members can send me minis for me to review once a month. And this is the time, so you want to take part in this review, you know what you have to do. Join my Patreon or become a channel member on the tier Miniatures or above, and you will have a spot here each month, which I would love to do. I love to make this review. And before we start the review, I always like to do a kind of a preview of what's going to come. I'm editing the video right now that should have been published on Friday, but due to live and the video being way more complicated to edit than I initially thought, partly because all the plans went to the crapper. On that video you will see that caused that video to be delayed a little bit, but we will get there in due time. It's going to be about painting theory, and in this case about painting faces, and in particular about color tones or skin undertones, and also a strong directional light on faces and how to achieve that. But theoretically, in a theoretical viewpoint, I think it's going to be interesting, and it's basically me trying to salvage a video that went very badly. But yeah, that was the salvageable part of what I did, and I think it's going to make good content. Also, it's going to be my first video with a new camera angle, which I kind of like, but I want to have some feedback. So stay tuned, and please comment there and tell me if you like the new camera angle. It's also me using my brand new teleprompter, which I'm very excited about that. That's going to be massive for me because I don't have to. I'm really bad at memorizing, and I'm not a good speaker, so having something to read really makes my life very, very easy. At least much easier. Let's see the chat if we have someone here. We have 10 entries a day in the Royal Retinue review, which is going to be awesome. I love to have a lot of entries. Okay, let's see, no comments yet. So talking about more things to come, I have very good news. I have been let known that the full Vallejo Express color set is going to be shipped to me this next week, so probably either Wednesday or Thursday, and I should have it either on Thursday or on Friday. So expect the review almost immediately. As soon as I have it, I'm going to record it through the night, and I'm going to edit it for the weekend because I want the video to be out as soon as possible. Yeah, very excited about trying them out. You have another video from a German channel which got them a small set that they were selling at Spiel, or however that is pronounced. So if you want to see other person using Express Paint, go and check them out. I don't know exactly the name, but someone sent it to me during the day, and I just gave it a watch. Excellent review. The only thing that they were complaining is that it were only going to be 23 colors, which are not very many, to be fair, and that's a fair critique. But in terms of usability, they were really happy, and so am I. Oh yeah, and I also have another video coming, a couple of videos coming. One is going to be a extensive conversion video using, the Black Templar, the new one with the orc. I'm going to use that mini and turn it into something completely different. I'm going to try and make Azrael, Chapter Master of Dark Angels, changing the orc for a dead Chaos Space Marine, and using a lot of green stuff and a massive amount of conversion work and kit bashing. So stay tuned because that's going to be very exciting. I'm also going to paint it, so stay tuned for that. Also, I'm going to Games Workshop send me an email asking if I would like to make 2 videos for them, not for them for Warhammer Plus, just for them for my channel, but they wanted to make two very specific videos. It's about the new underworld, so I'm going to paint one of each of the warbands. I hope I can get the box in time. It's been horrible shipping lately, so yeah, if I get the box in time, both warbands will be out by the time the box is on pre-order. But I haven't gotten the box yet, and I really was hoping I was going to get it by Friday, so I could work during the weekend. But you know, Spain and shipping is not the best combination ever. Also, Brexit is not helping at all. Oh, we have here, so I have painted on the chat. He has a mini for review, which is the first one. So why don't we just jump onto the review? And let me just change this into the main screen here. Here we go. So this was painted by Shane. Shane is play painted. You can see him on the chat. And he is a commission painter. This was painted on what he calls tabletop standard, which to me looks like a fairly good tabletop standard, if we are honest. And he also said it was painted in about 2 or 3 hours, which to me sounds astonishing, because this is quite a good level for 2 or 3 hours of work. Oh, Plement is asking, did you help with the design of the new Vallejo pens? Yes, I did, just for the express range. I didn't have anything to do with the game color. That was all the work of first of all Angel Hidalgo, and second of all a couple more painters. It wasn't just him, but he was the main brain behind the new game color range. So I didn't have anything to do with those, but I did have a lot of input and feedback on the express range. It's like, I'm really proud of that work, and yeah, we're excited to get them. So why don't we get on to the review? Remember, if you have any questions or you have anything to say, just put it in the chat. I will be here. I can read it now. I have rearranged my screen. I couldn't in the first reviews. I have some real good minis to review here, and this is one of them, of course. So yeah, for having done this in 2 or 3 hours, this is a pretty good job. I couldn't paint this in 2 or 3 hours, if we are totally honest here. Things to change. I'm not going to go into technical stuff, because you know, you have some rough edge highlights, some rough details here and there, but this was painted first of all as a job. So when you're painting for a job, you have to forget about perfection. You just want to have stuff done as quickly as possible to the level that the client is paying for, and this 100% fills that requirement. So this is a fantastic job, technically speaking. Things that I would change, things that I will add. Well, I think that she has a very interesting face to make some strong light sourcing on her face especially. And I think if you, for example, let me just take my brush. I'm going to take this. If you don't highlight as much one side, for example, you can turn this down quite a bit. On this side, for example, on this darker side, you can even take one of these shading colors and be a bit more aggressive on this side of the face. Just turn the opacity a little bit down. Something like that. And then you can go mad on this other side. You can maybe add a little bit of there, a little bit on this. Oops, no, lighter. Maybe I would have played with some sort of very intense light from one side of the face and not on the other. Some kind of Rembrandt light on her face. I think that fits this model pretty well, but of course, let me just see. That's much better shading color. Yeah, I like that better. Something like that. So you can emphasize this fire, for example, this firelight. Also, I think her eyebrow is a little bit too much. I think you did the eyebrow painted like the hair in white. It doesn't really read like a white eyebrow. It reads like a very stark highlight on the eyebrow. So I would probably tone that eyebrow down a notch. Just painted flesh and not trying to paint. If it were any other color, it may have worked, but not with white, something like that. Yeah, kind of like that. She has a very dramatic face, so I really like to use that. Also, I think the fire glow is a bit overdone, just teeny tiny bit, especially on the leg. It's just yellow. It's just like a blob of yellow there. You can just take it back with some of this red, especially on the parts that wouldn't be shining too much. For example, this part of the armor is not facing the fire, so it shouldn't have it should have just the edge there. Something like this. Let me just grab a darker hue of red, just like that. You will have a little bit on the leg here. And here on the upper side, you should go much softer onto the glow. I think this is gold, so I can't really see it, but I'm going to tone it down a little bit more as well. It should be just the edge, and then something like that. I think that looks way more natural to the glow of the fire. Also, when doing glow, less is usually more. Here we're going to take this cream color. I need a bigger brush. You're going to take this cream color and just tone the fire glow down quite a lot. Same for the black. Something like that. She is not during the night scene, so the glow shouldn't be that intense. It should have a little bit, but I will personally tone it down just a notch, just from 11 to about an 8. That should be enough. Also, you have a lot of glow on the leg and on the tabard, but you have no glow on the base. So consider the next time you're doing fire, you probably should add some glowing details on the base as well as the mini, because otherwise it doesn't look real. Something like that. Something on that vein, like that. Yeah, kind of like it. So yeah, that's basically it. The rest looks good. It's the type of work that it is, and it's really well done. Things that were done that are really easy because they are done into the highlighting phase. So you can, when you do, I don't know if you did a wash over the face or something, but if you just prime with the airbrush, I see some black here. Maybe did some I was going to say slap chop, but I'm going to say grisaille because that's the word. If you did that with your brush or something like that, maybe just do it on the face on the one particular direction, and then you can do all of that. I don't know how you did it, but it seems like a good opportunity to do some strong source lighting on the face. You know, that kind of that looks cool. And this mini in particular, it's very prone to do this just because how dramatic her face expression is. And her pose and, you know, all of that stuff. But really good job, Shane. That's fantastic. You really should be proud, especially for 2 or 3 hours. I think that is a really good job. Thanks very much for the feedback sets, Shane, or Play Fainted, however you want to call him. It was a real pleasure. So why don't we move into the next one? Which is from Matt. And Matt has a beautiful Eldar, I think this Eldrad, I can't remember the name. the character elder seer, whatever, Eldrad, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So, and it's stunningly painted, really, really, really good job, especially on the black armor. Is exquisite. That's the word I'm going to use. Exquisite. The only things that I would immediately jumps out to me are this mold line here. I think you should be able to see. I'm going to make it clearer here. So we have a mold line there, and we have the mold lines on the base. We have the mold lines there, and we have mold line there. Those two things shouldn't be there, especially for something that is painted to this high level. It really stands out. This was the first thing that I saw when I opened the picture, was how well it was painted and those two mold lines. So, but you know, that's you probably don't want to go back and change this now, considering how much work all of this lovely freehand has taken. But you know, for the future maybe you could change that. So things that I would improve this quite lovely paint job. Well, not many really. The black set is just perfect. I think there is very little to improve there apart from some smoothness onto the highlight, but you know, that's not what we are talking about here. Probably the freehand would be my second choice for improvement. I know this is going to be very, very difficult because I know how tiny this is, and it's really well done, but you can see some slight imperfections and slight difference in the intensity of the black lines. You can see some soft lines there, some dark lines there, some imprecise lines here and there. For example, there, very small things. I'm going to go back to not having anything and do it right. Okay, so what would I do with this? Just go with my magnifiers, with this creamy color or gray color. Just put this. And just try to especially clean up the imperfection bits. Try to make all the lines as precise and as equally thin as possible. I'm of course talking for kind of painting competition stuff, okay? This is perfectly valid for a normal person. But yeah, we are talking of insane levels of craziness here. So stuff like that, you know, cleaning up the details, very subtle difference, just cleaning up the slightly imperfections on the freehand here. But again, I know how difficult this is, and it's easier to do it on a computer than it is to do it on a real model. So yeah, for example, cleanliness things like taking out this little bit, I don't know if this is gold, it looks like gold, just making sure that's not on the gem. Also he has a kind of like a lighting here, and you really cannot tell that it's, maybe you don't want it to look like it's glowing, but maybe you should. So maybe doing some glazes with some teal color, something like Zotek green, and then maybe this is big enough. Yeah, this should be big enough. So glazing some teal colors very lightly over those lines, like wider than the lines themselves. You know, picking up some of the of the black. You can add it also around the gem, because this looks like it's coming from the gem. So if you glaze this around the gem like this, something like that. And then you can take pure white and I'm going to make this really small and go back and do those lighting, the lighting stuff again, but not over all the lighting, just on some random bits, just like that. Just like that. I think that reads much better as a lightning from the magic, something like that, than what was there. I think that the model benefits quite a lot from that. I will also do the same on the eyes. Just add a line of blue around the eyes, like a slightly blue glow. I think I would do the eyes, instead of doing them like gems, I will just do them like glowy bits. I think this is what this model needs, something like this. So you can see we went from really good job to like a wow factor from that glow. Really helps concentrate the attention on the helmet, which is what you want. And if we're doing this, we can do the same if we're going mad. So let me just go back on myself. What colors would I use? I will probably start with Sotek green and then move into Temple Guard green. This should be something close to Temple Guard. Yeah, that should be. Again here, I will do the same on the hand. I kind of like this. I would just glaze some teals onto the crevices of the hand very lightly. You can start again with Sotek and then you move up to Temple Guard. Just do it in one pass because it's just easier for me. I can do it with the computer. And then just put some white, maybe mix it with the Temple Guard, and then just pure white. You have a glowing power on the hand. I really like that look. I think this is what this paint job in particularly needs to stand out even more. You go from a very good paint job to like wow paint job very easily. Yeah, changes the model. Walt says, wow, that really changes the model. It really does. You are adding something that is really simple to do, and you may think this is not easy to do, but it really is easy to do, and it really changes the model. Focuses all the attention onto the part that you want the attention to be, and yeah, it really adds a wow factor that it's missing from this outstandingly well painted model from Matt. So thank you, Matt, for submitting. I think we really hope this was useful. You know where to find me and ask me questions on the Discord server, only for Patreons and channel members. Subscribe. Let's move into the third submission. This comes from Luke, and it's one of the Scourge City bosses, the grave guy thingy, whatever his name is. I have him in a box about there. I might paint him. He is a cool model. But well, let's see what I would do. So things I like are the skin. He added some blues onto the holes on the skin. I think it's a fantastic choice. I really like the purple-red combination on the cloths. I think the metal on the shovel is really good, and the overall feel of the mini is fantastic. The one thing that I personally don't really like is the blood, how you did the blood. I think it looks too much like red. It looks like red paint. I think you have to go for a darker red color. I personally, when I have to do blood like blood effect, I just use blood for the blood god. If it's not for a competition kind of piece, I just do blood for the blood god. It's just so good. It's dark and rich and intense. You want to go for this sort of color for the blood, and at least for the initial pass. I remember on a white dwarf article from Mike McBay on how to paint blood on minis, and it was a masterclass on blood before we had products that do it for you. So good. And he started with like a dark brown ink over the whole area that's going to have blood, and then started to move into deeper reds, and then just very little of the intenser reds. Yeah, such a masterclass. I don't have any of my wood dwarfs with me now, sadly. I just, at some point in my life, I just threw them away, which I know is a crime, but I had like a pile. I had to move, and they weighted like a ton. So yeah, what I would do is, let me just go back into what we are doing. Is I think the blood, it's what it's not working. So also he has blood on his face. There is blood on this guy here, but there's not blood on his shovel or on his hook. I kind of think it should be. I think you're going to make this bloody. I think you should go all the way in. So I would probably just add some glazes of red here on the hook, just like that, and then I will probably do the same on the shovel. Maybe add some splatters around the arm, and maybe go crazy with blood on the shovel. Like it's like, for example, like it's pooling here and then dripping. I need more opacity for this. So maybe like it's falling and dripping from these from the edge, something like that. Yeah, Thorsten said, add some reds and browns for wet and dried blood. Yes, exactly. That's what Mike McBay did in that article. Something with, I think back then they were inks. They were brown ink, I think there's, and chestnut ink. Maybe I think maybe mixed with red ink. I can't really remember. It was a very long time ago. But yeah, you can do something like this with some blood dripping and stuff like that. I think this really complements well all the blood, like the model himself. Apart from that, I think I will maybe, I'm not sure, I will maybe highlight the purple a little bit more. Although we're going quite bright, but maybe we want a little bit more. Maybe just here on the top of the leg, what is like the attention point of the mini. We can maybe add a little bit of yellow into this. So something like this. We need to go brighter than this. Yeah. I wouldn't do this all over the model, just here on this front side. Maybe you can add some on the reds as well, just to make this stand out more. Those little details are what grabs the attention. So something like this. It's not that much, but I think it helps. I will also probably add some tufts, painted tufts on all around the base. Probably it's not finished yet, or but I think tufts help break this massive mass of just raw sand. So some dry looking tufts painted with some acrylics on the base. Some dry brush with the this. I think I used Dipkin flash or something like that onto the top. I think it's a good idea. Let me just see. because I really like the skin, and you can't see the backside, but I could see the backside in the email, and yeah, I would probably think the skin is perfectly well. Let me just correct the face. I won't try to fix the face because this is maybe a bit too much. So I would probably take that bone color and try to make the blood like it's dripping. Let me just correct back. Let me just paint this bone and then try to do the blood in another manner. It should be like a bit. I'm just trying to make it like it's dripping from his teeth, in between the teeth. We can maybe highlight some of the teeth with the white color. Yeah, I think that works very well. I think it just less red on the mouth area makes it feel more menacing. Like this just looks like paint. This looks a bit more like, like it's just eaten something fleshy and bloody, and it's just dripping from his mouth. That was the idea. Oh, we have another person on the chat. Archaones y Pinceles. Archaones y Pinceles, because he's Spanish, so that's how it should be pronounced. I'm guessing. He says, "Good afternoon to you as well." Yeah, this is the main changes, and add some tufts. Yeah, of course you are. He says, "I am from Spain." Yeah, that was pretty obvious from the name. Nice to meet you. Bienvenido. Let me just grab something to drink. And we're going to move into the fourth. So there was Luke, which did a fantastic job. Oh, we have another Spanish viewer. Eduardo Rodriguez Correa says, "Good afternoon." He's from Mexico. Bienvenido. It's nice to see more international viewers. That's fantastic. We have quite a big audience. I don't know, I can't see how many people are watching the video right now, but to all of you, I love you all. Let's move into the fourth submission for this review. This comes from Andy. We have two Andys, so as per usual, the first Andy that sends a picture gets to be Andy, and the second one gets to be Andy with a letter. So this is just Andy because he was the quickest one. And he's painted a really good looking stormcast. The cape on the backside was really, really beautiful. And he's a bit worried about the feathers, especially the feathers, which he isn't really sure if they look good enough. And we're going to talk about the feathers. But I think this model, I really, really think this model needs a bit more of this green. I think this green does a beautiful job complementing that really nice dark burgundy, dark pink. And because you have, when you use opposite colors on the color wheel, you cannot really use them both at super saturated levels because it's going to look horrible. So what you have to do is desaturate one and saturate and leave the other saturated. So what Andy did here, which was very clever, was paint the armor on a desaturated burgundy, and then paint all the green details with a very intense green. And I think we should add a bit more of this green. I think specifically. I have a question from Eduardo. Are miniature reviews only for patrons? Yes, only for patrons and channel members on the tier of Menatoms or above. Just to be clear, this is my way of giving my Patreon something back, because I don't, as you may now know, or you should know, I don't have any videos locked behind a paywall. All my videos, everything that I make is free on YouTube. So to really give something back to the people that make all those videos possible for all of you, is to make this for them. So this is my way of thanking them for all the amazing thing they do, for helping me in my everyday, and for helping my family to have something to eat. So yeah, that's what you get when you support me. This is my way of thanking you. So what I would, let's go back into the review. What I would do is, I think this weapon needs some glowy stuff, because it looks a bit boring. You have this mass of silver here, and it kind of looks like it needs something. It feels boring. Everything is colorful and beautiful, and really well done. Really nice edge highlights. The texturing on the cape is beautiful and perfect. Same on the backside. But I think the weapon is kind of a bit lacking. So we have these gems here, and he's a stormcast, so he's supposed to be basically made out of lightning and magic. At least, yeah, I think that's the lore here. So we are going to make this a bit bigger. Yeah, this should be. We are going to. I'm just going to take this green, and I'm going to put it on the recess here. Just grab a more intense green. We are losing saturation here. A darker green, something like this. Something like Wapstone Glow would be my first choice. We're going to paint it on the inside here of this comet, as well as around this bit. You know, not just on the recesses, but taking up a little bit of the edges as well. Something like that. And then we can move into a brighter green, something like mood green, or whatever colors you use to do this in this case. So, and then just make just the recesses, leaving some of the green on the outside, of the darker green. So we paint this here, and just some drops of this onto these recesses. And then I would probably move into mixing this with some dawn yellow to get something like this, maybe. Something like this, probably, yeah. And just paint this onto the... I think I'm going to do like the core of the heat is on the head of the comet. And you should do some also here onto the... Not onto the corners, just onto the middle of the flat side, something like that. And then you can take pure white and do just, oops, and do just a little dot there and a little dot there. And again, this completely changes the mini from this to this. It really helps out. Maybe you want to tone this down a little bit more so you don't take away from the face, or you can just go all in and paint his eyes glowing green as well, which is also an option for Stormcast. I've seen it done, and I think it looks really, really cool, especially for the heroes. So why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? I think we should, because this is my party, and I do what I want. Let me just make this smaller. And just take pure white now. Something like this. I think I like it. Just take some of this super bright green and maybe glaze this, oh yeah, a little bit onto the surrounding areas. That's like that. And we have a really cool Stormcast, which which I think fits perfectly, fits better with what a stormcast hero should be, at least from my point of view. This kind of simple things really grab your attention from across the table, especially if you are using this to play. By the way, beautiful base. It's a lovely basing scheme. And he said, Andy said, he had some issues with the feathers. So I think we're going to concentrate on the feathers now. Because yes, they look a bit dull, they're just brown. And what I would do is I would introduce this lovely warm grays onto the feathers. So adding, maybe painting the tips like this, with this, and maybe doing some lines of this, just like that. Just here. I'm doing it on the front, but of course you would want to do this on every single feather, obviously. And then just highlight this as you did with the rest of the feathers. Maybe you take this onto almost pure white, especially on the upper sides. You know how to do this, but I think adding other colors to the feathers is the right way to go. If you want to just look for feathers of real birds, especially large ones, maybe eagles, stuff like that, and try to look for ones that have this kind of pattern. But you see how it breaks up all that brown and starts adding a little bit more of interest onto the feathers as well, complementing them with the top of the I think this should be a griff or something like that. So it kind of looks comes from the same animal. Yeah, so that would be it. But apart from that, super cool paint job. This is the original from Andy, and this is my tweaked version. Not much to do. Most of it is beautiful. I would just add some glowing elements, especially to the hammer, and then I would just, you know, tune up the feathers a little bit so they're not just a mass of brown. But overall, fantastic job there. Let's move into the fifth one. This is from Paul. We have some comments here. The feathers of the rough-legged buzzards look really cool on a griffin. I don't know what a rough-legged buzzard is, but that's a good advice. So that's fantastic advice. I'm sure it is. I have this cool, super cool chaos dwarf, I'm guessing, of some sort. Even if it's not called a chaos dwarf, I don't know if this is an official Games Workshop mini or this comes from other companies. My knowledge of the chaos dwarf range is absolutely minimal. And this comes from Paul. Paul has applied some of my advices on painting some details that are not there. Paul likes to paint a lot of this old minis, so the details on the face are sometimes not there, and not only on face but on other parts. And he has painted some detail that is not there, and I think it looks pretty good. I like how he painted, you know, these little details. These like small red gems have a little bit of a highlight on each of them. That's the kind of detail that I really like. But I think we should concentrate a little bit on the steel and a little bit on the flesh. I think the rest looks pretty fantastic. For the steel, I think you should go a bit darker with your shading. Let me explain. I think you should take, let me just take a very cool blue-gray kind of thing. Something like this. I think using, even if it's that little blue on the black thing, it will help to outset all of this warmth that he has. So what I would do is, you have your highlight here and you have your shading here, and it's a good placement. But what I would do is increase the shadows a little bit more. So make the shadows on the steel details more intense. You can use whatever, black temper would work here, and maybe towards the top just a little bit here, a little bit there, and a little bit there. And then you can take your pure white, or your in case your brightest silver, and emphasize the highlight here on the just on the curve here, just like that. I think this is going to help quite a lot for the metal to read more intense. He's Paul Mackay says he's an infernal dwarf berserker from Lost Kingdom Miniatures. Okay, that is great. I heard about Lost Kingdom. I've never seen any of their chaos dwarfs. Chaos dwarfs, infernal dwarf in this case, but he looks really, really cool. So Lost Kingdom, that means it's not an old mini, just maybe a bit of a dodgy print. I'm guessing, yeah, you can see some print lines, so that can explain some inconsistencies maybe. Sometimes, I don't know if you buy them printed or you print them yourself. 3D prints, problem is, my issue is that you cannot really get a consistent product. It's just the nature of the thing. Even if 3D printers now are really, really, really good. Yeah, I will add that extra shading on the metal, a bit more, just so you emphasize the shape, especially on the blades. It's so easy to do, and it looks so good. It's such a people, when you see it, especially on the table, it's just something that just grabs people's attention because it's so dramatic, and it's really easy to do. So try it, because I think it's worth it. Apart from that, on the skin, for example, I think you have some harsh transitions. So let me just get back onto the background here, because Paul is very nice, and he always adds a little bit of background on himself and on the minis that he's painting what he submits. So he says that he wants to get into a bit more of a competition level. So I'm going to always judge his minis based on that goal. So you can see you have some harsh transitions, especially on the face. You can see them. The highlights are well placed, especially on the cheeks, on the top part. That's lovely. Maybe you should get an in-between tone and do. Let me just make this a bit smaller, and maybe soften this transition a little bit, like that, just on the middle of both those things. And then you can take the highlight and just try to place it, especially on the. I know this might seem a little bit counterintuitive, so I'm going to do it to show it to you. On this part of the face, you want your highlights to be here, especially when he's shouting. He's like this. Your highlight should be there, and not also on the lip if he has a pronounced lip, but a main highlight should be here. So you should put your highlight there, like that, and you can see just that change makes the face look better, just like that, more human-like, if you know what I mean. Also here we make the bridge of the nose, and we can take this shading color and you can put it onto the lower part here. Maybe emphasize this a little bit more if you want a more dramatic looking face. But yeah, that would be my advice. Massive differences, says Paul. Yeah, that's the kind of small details that doesn't seem right, because we tend to understand highlights on a topographical level. So anything that it's more pronounced, like it's more upwards, separate from the base, from the main mass of the mini, we tend to highlight more. But sometimes putting the highlight on another place really helps. Also, here on the arm, you can see you have one highlight here on this edge, which is facing downwards. You have, again, the same. This edge facing downwards has a highlight. So what I would do is basically the opposite. Let me just erase these highlights and show it to you. So we are going to take the highlight color now. Take the brightest one. There you go. And put your highlight on this part and on this part. Just grab a dark brown, just like that, and you can see the difference from that to that. That looks more realistic. You need to understand that the edges of the muscle, the edges of the muscles that are facing downwards shouldn't get in the light, and you should also, when painting a skin, you should play with extreme contrast in the volumes, something like that, especially when he has some very pronounced muscles. So you put, if you have two muscles colliding like this, the main highlight on this muscle should be on the fingers, on this part, and the main shadow on this muscle should be here. So we have the most extreme shadow and the most extreme highlight here, and the highlight here, of course. That way you are creating a bit more of contrast, and it looks more natural. So yeah, that's basically it. Shade your. Don't be afraid of shading your steel on your blades a little bit more, just on the blades. You don't need to do this for armor, but for the blades, it really makes a massive difference. And try to understand how light on the face works, and try to make smoother transitions. But yeah, really good job, Paul. I really like this little dwarf. Even he's cool, even for a dwarf. Maybe because he's a bad one. Bad people are always more interesting. So let's move into Carlos, and this is quite a special piece for Carlos, and for me as well, because Carlos has been submitting since day one of the review, and I know he struggles with painting sometimes, and I know he pushed himself massively here. And if you just go and watch the first Royal Retinue review, there is a miniature from Carlos there, and you can see the difference, the advancement. He spent, I think in the email said he's been painting this not continually but on and off for about a month. Try to make something that it's as best as he can, and I'm really proud, and you should be too, Carlos. This is it's really nice. Some really good things here. Intense highlights on the same plane. We have some highlights here, highlights here, highlights here, that go all on the same plane. Highlight here, a spot highlight, but not on this side, as you should, and stronger highlights on this. You can clearly see an intention with the light of this piece, and it's really, really nice. Of course, some of the transitions can be smoother, some of the edge highlights can be thinner, but it's a really good job. I really like it. You can see the love poured into this miniature. You can feel it, that it's been taken care of, and that's things that I really care about. Things to get better. Maybe I think we are in a kind of a theme, because this looks really cool, and I think I want. He's done a little bit of the OSL on the eyes. I think we can do it. Maybe it's a matter of the picture. Okay, so this might be caused because the picture is a bit grainy and whatever. But I think I would add a little bit more of an intense glow. Let me just grab this red smaller. The glow is alright, I like it, but I think you should go to more saturated colors for it. And I wouldn't even try to do the eyes like gems and on this, because I think this kind of mini with such a cool strong light should benefit from glowing eyes. And I will move into an orange, really intense orange, something like this, something like Fire Dragon Bright. And I will add it to the center here, and then move into something like Lugenath Orange, just on the center of the eye there. Yeah, I like that. Maybe take a really dark red, something like Flesh Tear's Red, and we're going to do with that is try to drop it in between the eye and the armor. Just a line there. Should be quite easy to do with contrast paints, but you have to be careful. And then, all of a sudden, it kind of makes the eye pop, because for this kind of piece, he's super cool. He's super chill with his sword, with his bolter. He's not even caring about the enemies. He's just he just wants to look cool for the picture. And you can tell that, and I totally respect that. I mean, sometimes you just have to be the coolest guy on the battlefield, and he is really trying. And I think glowing eyes fit the theme really, really, really well. Makes all your attention go there, and to that super cool spot highlight on his forehead, and suddenly the rest of the mini, not that it's not well painted, it's just less important. You can concentrate on one detail and just enjoy how cool that looks. But apart from that, and it's really hard for me to judge, because I know the extreme improvement that Carlos has made on this mini, and to me it's just, I mean, like, what would I change? Well, technical details, like working on thinner edge highlights or more consistent stuff like that. But honestly, this is amazing. I'm super, super impressed. Just see. For example, you should probably clean this connection up a little bit. So take this. I wouldn't go as dark on that lining. Let me just correct it. I will probably paint this. Oops. Need to go darker. I need to go bigger. No. That should be. There you go. Clean up this, because it kind of looks a little bit too dark. Just like that. So it's, you know, instead of going for such a dark shadow around this symbol, tone it down a little bit. Same for stuff like here. You can see a very dark, very harsh line. Just take your main cream color and just tone this down a little bit. A little bit. There you go. But yeah, this is basically what I would do. I think this is a pretty cool miniature, and I think again, when I give feedback, I try to give it in the context of each person. And to me, having painted with Carlos, having seen his minis since day one of this review videos, I'm lost for words. Really, really impressed. And he actually told me, no, please don't look at it. Let it be a surprise for the video. And yeah, that was a massive surprise. Easy things to fix, stuff that would make a massive difference. That's easy to do. Take this, our main armor color, something should be in the lines of this, maybe something in the lines of this. Take it with a thin brush and just paint the line in between these edge highlights. You don't need to make these edge highlights thin from pass one. You can go with darker color and make them thinner. Same for stuff like here on the bends on the backpack. You can just go with darker color and just fix it, just a little touch, so you don't have like that harsh line there. Same for this color here, I think here. But honestly, one more thing that I do want: if you're going with this strong highlight, you should put this highlight here as well, because this is on in line, if you know what I mean. There should be a highlight here, and it should be a highlight on this protuberance here, like this, just like that. I think that's what it's missing. You're missing those two things. And I would do the glowy eyes myself. That's my main advice. But yeah, fantastic job. I'm super proud, Carlos. So, just so you know, I'm really, really proud. Let's move into the 7th. This is Andy. And Andy has painted a genestealer bossy thing, you know. That. I don't know. I don't know the name, but I'm sure you do. And he told me not to look too much on the base because he didn't really took too much time to do it. Okay, that seems fair. And concentrate more on the guy itself. So first thing that I would change is you have a red helmet surrounded, being held on by red claws and a purple hand. And I know you have a red helmet here, so maybe you wanted to give a little bit of continuity, like they are fighting blood angels. The red works on the base because it's surrounded by gray and the green. The red really doesn't work here. It just gets lost because the claws are red. So what I would do, I wouldn't do blue because you have the blue body. I think it would do either green. Yeah, I think I would do a green helmet, like a Dark Angels helmet. So let me see if I can do that here. I haven't done this. Let me just see if I can do this here. I'm going to try to select just the helmet and see if I can just change the color of the helmet. That was easier than what I was expecting. That's a good question. 2-color maximum. Would you go brighter than Dark Angels? Maybe Salamanders to match the color of the slime in the base. That's a good thinking. I was actually thinking about that. Maybe, maybe. I think I need to think about that a little bit. So I can't. How do you change the color? Maybe with this tone saturation. Oh yeah, there you go. I think this green fits quite well. Yeah, I think I would go with this green. And you can see the difference. I think it works better. I really think it works better than the red helmet. The red helmet just got lost there. And I think the green fits better. And I think you are right. I think a bright green kind of makes sense. So yeah, I'm going to leave this like that. More things. I think I reviewed this not from Andy B. We have Andy B here. Again, the second of the Andys. So he has a second letter. I think I have reviewed one of these genestealer boss things in the past, and my conclusion was the same. I think he's like pointing to his brain, casting like some sort of psychic power. I think you need to reflect that, and I think even if I'm getting a bit repetitive with my feedback, I think this needs a little bit of glow. How would I do it? I'm going to actually do it in the same way that I would do it myself with a paintbrush. So I think it should be useful. I need to make this a little bit bigger. So I would take white paint, whatever white you want to use. You know, I'm never picky with my whites, and I would. It's going to be very similar to what I did on the Hollow King video on his eyes. It's going to be the same process essentially. I'm going to take white and I'm going to drop it in between, in the recesses of the brain and surrounding the finger. Just pure white. You want more white towards the finger, and maybe go a little bit less intense on the rest of the brain. So the further away you go from the hand, the less white that you put. If you use if you thin out your white, you're going to be golden. You can then just do a line of white around the eye. Same way as I did with the Hollow King. This is exactly the same process. Then we are going to take a Yanden yellow, and I'm just going to drop it into the recesses. And maybe pick up a little bit of the surroundings. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. There you go. Yeah, much better. And even if you don't have any white, you can probably add a little bit of this Yanden onto there. There you go. There you go. And then you take the same white. You can do more steps, but you can just go to pure white as well, and just drop it around the finger there. Oh, I forgot to do the yellow onto the eye. Of course I did. There you go. Let's take the white again, make this a little bit smaller, and try to catch the center of the eye with this. Something like this. I think it looks cool. I think those are the two main changes that I would do to this. Like a glowy brain and a different color helmet. Where you can do, it can work in black. It can work basically anything that is not blue, that is not purple, and that is not red. Whatever you want to do on those colors. It can work with yellow as well, considering that we just did the yellow glowy bit. I think yellow can work as well. But yeah, those are my main advices. Apart from that, I really like this mini. Just don't forget to highlight those some of the details, like the bulby bits on the arms and stuff like that. You can add more highlights onto the front. You can basically, on the back of the mini, you can do whatever you want. It's not important. But here on the front, this is like the main photo angle of this mini. So you kind of want to add a bit more highlights onto this angle. Just have this photo angle in mind. This is Instagram advice. Okay, this is not for the battlefield. This is for Instagram. And you add those highlights, just taking this highlight and just add it onto the part that you can see. For example, the arm here, you can add a little bit of that bright blue highlight, same underneath the arm, as we talked with Paul. It's a good example. You have the darker shadow, and your brightest highlight should be opposed right next to each other. Makes for a more realistic look. We can add some like under highlighting and stuff like that, but we're not going to go in there. You can also do this bright blue. Oops, need to bigger this. Yeah, this bright blue highlight here and here, for example. You know, the just for the gram. This is just for the gram, and just like that, just those small highlights and those change of details make all the difference. I forgot to use my. I always make like separate layer to make all the changes, and I forgot to use it. So this is the original, and I think this will be the changes. Yeah, that would be my changes. And again, this element can be any color that is not red, purple, or blue. Whatever you want. Green works. Maybe you don't want to make it the same color as the slime because that clashes a little bit with you and you want a bit more variation. Do it yellow, for example. Make it like a imperial fist. You can do it white. White will work really well. You can do it black as well. Anything that is not red, purple, or blue. Whatever you want. Yeah, fantastic job, Andy B. That was great. Let's move into the next one, and this is Tim, and Tim is always a treat. This is Tim's entry for the review, and as always, Tim making my life very difficult. This is a work in progress for a painting competition. You can tell. I mean, if you may not be sure here because it's so well done, but this is NMM, okay? So this is not a single metallic color he used here. It looks like metal, but it's not. So what we are going to things that I like that Tim has been introducing into his NMM slowly but surely, making improvements. What really sells this piece is this. You may think is these bright highlights and the contrast. What sells this as metal is this red underglow reflecting from the ground. That's what's selling this piece. If you take away this, it's not going to look nearly as good. And this is just beautiful. Just beautiful. Things that I would do to change this, I don't know. This is basically beyond my level, but things that I see that I might need a little bit. I think this side of the weapon needs a little bit something else. What would I do? Probably take a darker gray. Maybe. Because it feels empty. It feels like it should be reflecting something. And for example, here you have this. Let me just explain to you how the thinking behind NMM should work on your head. Here we have this piece of metal, okay, which the light source for this scene is about here, okay, in front of the model, just in front of his face. So we have this piece, which is this corner of the piece is directly into the source of light, and metal reflects everything. So this being metal as well should be reflecting this highlighted edge onto this edge. So you should be doing this sort of highlight on this side, like this, just like that. You can see the difference from that to that. There's a little touch of realism, just that extra touch of realism. Don't go as bright as your main highlight, but you should be adding something here. This is going to be like the subtlest review. For example, here this edge should be catching some light, I think. Same for stuff like this, like there. Otherwise, it kind of feels empty. At least to me, it feels empty. This edge here, this edge, this edge, this edge. Just the tiniest smidge. Not your brightest highlight, but a little bit. Just like that. I think that works. Maybe add a little bit more. Yeah, I think that works. Let me see what more we can do. I don't know how you want to paint this, but I think it should be green. So I'm going to paint it green for you, so you don't forget. Sketching the edge. Just like that. Again, this is a work in progress, so we need to have that in mind. And but yeah, something that I'm missing. Let me just make this smaller. Oh, not that small. I think is this glowing edge highlights on some of these parts, because this is like a glowing internal core, so to speak. You have it here, you have it in some places, but it's not in the weapon. I'm guessing the weapon is still a work in progress, but just in case, I'm going to add it. So if this internal core is glowing, this whole edge should be highlighted. Let me make this a little bit more intense. Go. And there you go. Like that. And then take the main highlight and just place it in, you know, corners and that kind of stuff. Go. So yeah, you can see the difference that highlight makes. Again, this is a work in progress, so always with that in mind. But yeah, that's basically what I mean. It's just thinking about if light is in front of the subject, just in front of his face, basically, that should be illuminating this edge, which should be casting some reflection onto this piece of metal here. That kind of thinking is what's going to end up selling this even more, because this is ridiculous already. So I think like I'm judging above my level here. So fantastic work, team. Month after month, your work doesn't fail to inspire. Just those small details. Don't forget about the S2UBU hobbies. I know how to pronounce that. Subu hobbies, I'm guessing. I subscribed as a humble peasant. Welcome, Subu hobbies. I really appreciate it. That was fun. That was really, really nice of you. And now you have a green name and a nice peasant on the side. Look how good that looks. Let's move on to the next one. This is going to be Michael. Michael has painted this Grey Knight guy. Oh, we have Fenton99, which is one of the submitters. I'm not sure which one, because I'm using his real name on the side here and not his chat name. But he has submitted one piece today because I remember. Maybe I should use the chat names, but I'm just annoying like that. So let's judge this. I think this is Castellan Crow or something like that. It's a Grey Knight. It's looking fantastic. Things that I like about this, a lot of things. I like the red a lot. I like the banner. The banner is fantastic. I like the weathering on the bottom of the boots. Just how it should be. It's really, really difficult to capture metallic colors with the camera. That's always challenging. And I think this armor is really well painted, but this light texture on the paint is not helping you here, but I think this is really, you can see the gradient of the glazing of the blues on the armor. It's a fantastic job. What would I do here? I think my main thing is that this fire doesn't really look very intense. I think this is my main thing. What I would do is probably take something like a fluor pink, something like that. Probably it should be a fluor pink. We're going to make it a bit bigger. Yeah, a bit bigger. Yeah, I think this should work. And I will glaze this onto the flame. Over the white, over everything. Okay, so just a thin glaze of this fluor pink. I highly recommend, if you can get your hands onto the Army Painter Air fluor or pink, that's great. It's really good. But of course, always Vallejo always makes for a good fluor. Really looking forward to the new fluors on the game range. And I would also glaze this onto the side of the leg here, because he has like this massive flaming sword, so you should add a little bit of this pink onto everything around it. So a little bit of the book, not too much, but just, you know, a little touch, little touch, little touch. I'm not handling this, but Subu Hobbies, don't forget to join the Discord server. I need to update my information when you subscribe. Basically, all the rewards are done through the Discord server. So join the Discord server and enjoy. It's a fantastic community. All the announcements, all the early access videos are announced through there. Everything is done through the Discord. So do it. So that's what I would do basically, just thin glaze, and then you can just take pure white, maybe tint it with a little, just mix a little bit of white with fluor, just a little bit of fluor into the white, sorry, and you can just, oops, let me just, you need more white. I think for the picture it needs to be almost pure white. Let me just make this smaller and reinforce the very brightest of the flame highlights and on the runes, stuff like that. You could probably do this if you're good with an airbrush. You could probably do this with an airbrush, maybe. And if in the metal, if you're feeling brave, because this is metal, and metal reflects light very intensely, especially if it's polished, I would take this white mix with the pink and just do like this dotted highlight. You need to account for the specularity of the material. I wouldn't do this on the parchment, for example. I wouldn't do this on things like the book and stuff like that. But on the armor, I very good. And then you can maybe keep on glazing this to make a little bit more of pink glazing to blend this in, something like that. Just you can see the difference from this to this. Now it looks like the sword is glowing, which it doesn't look here, and I think it looks fantastic. This is basically what I would advise you to do, because I think the rest is really well painted. Michael, I think it's great. I've already said this, but the red on the cape and the banner is just beautiful. But yeah, a painted tuft. You should paint the tufts. I think there is a place for the Drake meme here, like painted tufts, you know, that kind of stuff, like the cool kids do. And yeah, adding this 3 steps, like glaze a little bit of the pink, mix pink with white, do a harsh highlight, and then blend it in with a little bit more of the pink is the way to go on the armor, especially here, just where the flame is hitting this part of the armor more. I think this should be there. Maybe there is a case for doing the same on the gold, obviously. Paint the tufts. Yes, paint the tufts. Please do yourself a favor and paint your tufts. There you go. Yes, I like that. Let me just grab this pink again. The problem with this is you can probably keep on adding this pink onto basically everything, every single detail. It should be more pronounced on edges and stuff like that. It just should catch the light better. Yeah. Yes, I like that a lot. Look what a massive difference that makes. Look at that. What sells a glowing thing is not the thing itself. It's the surrounding stuff that makes the glowy detail look like it's glowing. You can paint like a piece of fire as well as you can, but if it's not casting light onto the surrounding things, it doesn't look like it's glowing. And the same for the sword. The sword wasn't badly painted. I think it sorry. I really think it needed a little bit so my god, I really think it needed a little bit more of saturation. That's why I suggested the neon pink, the floor pink, and I think it really works. Sorry. My god, that was hard. Yeah, I really like that. Try that, because the rest is really well painted. You did a fantastic job on your Castellan, Michael. And let's move into the last one. This is Alexander. And Alexander has painted Abaddon, sort of copying what Richard Gray did for his Golden Demon submission of Abaddon. But as he says on the email, he did this for a tournament, so he actually had a deadline, so you just can't really dedicate all the time in the world for a paint job if it's not if you have a deadline. So given the deadline, I think it looks fantastic, and I doubt I can add any more onto the glow, because it has glows everywhere. The face with the inside helmet glow is perfect. It has glowing onto the top knot here. The sword looks fantastic. The fire on the back looks really good. Marco Brunel says, I really like this format where you use Photoshop to show your advices. In the past, I saw Travarion doing the same for his subscribers. I think it's very useful for anybody. Guess who I copied it from? Yeah. Love the red on the inside helmet glow. Yes, fantastic. It's really well done. This is really well painted. But yeah, Marco, I saw that from Travarion, and I think it's a shame. I also saw that from Cujo. Cujo also did that, and I thought, what a great idea! I'm going to do the same for mine, for my subscribers. But instead of, maybe they are doing it on like behind a paywall, showing it to the public. This is also behind a paywall. You have to be a subscriber to be able to enter. But I haven't seen any more videos from them on that subject. I think it's a really interesting thing to do, personally. So yeah, I think more people should do this, and I think this is one of my more valuable videos, if you ask me, because it really shows the improvements and what my thinking is and all that stuff, you know. So things that I would change: first of all, drill your bolters. Second, probably perfect the black armor. I think it needs a bit more highlighting. Like, focus just on the, as I said, on the, I think this was for Andy. just think of the gram, okay? Just think, just for the Instagram. You can add some more highlights on the black, concentrate them onto the parts that should be more prominent. You can even start adding a little bit of reflections, and if you want the armor to be shiny. But yeah, just focus the highlights onto the attention center of the mini. It's really hard because this has a little bit of a shiny finish, so makes this doesn't like not coming out as much. This is going to be probably drill your bolters. just drill your bolters. Also, I think what more advice? You know what? I think I would add. I'm just going to go with the rest of this review because I think it works. It's an easy solution and it works, and I'm lazy. So I think I will add this red glow onto this centerpiece here. I don't know if Richard did this, but I think it needs it. Just like that. Kind of goes with the theme, doesn't it? But yeah, I would probably clean. I think you did the black with dry brushing, like stippling. I will probably refine the highlights. Go with the black, take out from some spaces. For example, you have your main black here. I would just go with pure black and clean some of the areas. If you want this to just to look better for future stuff. Something like this, refining things like around edges and all that stuff. You go with the black, you refine everything. These pipes here might need slightly different color. They're the same exact color as the armor. I think tinting them onto a neutral or even warm black should be enough. So I can't do that, sadly. Maybe I can. I'm ambitious tonight. Today it's not night here yet. Oops. No, this is not the tool that I wanted. So let me just do a test here. If I take these pipes, I'm going to add more pipes into the selection. Here's something like this. And something like this. And something like this. I'm going to be very rough. I just want to see if this works in the same in the way that I intended. And just turn it. I would just use a neutral black here. So that's easy to do. You just turn the saturation onto 0, basically. Okay, and yeah, I think I like it. It makes them look different from the rest of the blue armor. That's my personal choice. Maybe. Yeah, I think that would be it. Really, just refine. This is really well painted. Just refine the armor, add some glowing into this detail here, and maybe pick up the repaint the tubes. Maybe we should add some yellow stripes onto the tubes. I think we should add some yellow stripes into the tubes, at least into the some of them. Let's just do it. Maybe this will turn him into looking a bit too much Iron Warrior-y. Maybe. Richard Gray doesn't usually do this kind of stuff. He's much more serious. But I kind of like this look for the pipes. Not all of them, but maybe these ones hanging from his weapons. Oh, we have Genestealer here. Hello, Genestealer. Just like that. I think I like it. I think I like it. Adds a bit more detail, breaks up all the black. Warmaster Calo is asking, how did you participate in this? But asking it in Spanish. You have to be a patron or a channel member. And I want to say this in Spanish as well, so don't freak out, all my English speakers. Tienes que ser un Patreon o tienes que ser miembro del canal en el nivel Menatarms o más, lo que tú quieras, pero mínimo Menatarms, y una vez al mes puedes enviar lo que quieras para review. That was it. Let's go back to English. You don't want to lose all these, all my lovely English-speaking people. But yeah, that would be it. Glowing bits, refine the armor with some black, some lighter grays, and I will probably paint this, break some of the tubes with a different color. I think this looks good with it's not too Iron Warrior-y. I think it looks good. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, fantastic piece. The face is a piece of art, by the way. Alexander, really well done. And the sword as well, but the face is just fantastic. Let me see, when can I move? We are done. This was the last submission, and we can now move on to the normal chat and, you know, saying all the goodbyes and all the stuff. Remember, in a couple days there will be a video about painting theory on painting faces, about color zones and a strong directional light. I think it's going to be a cool video. It's going to be a different video from my normal stuff, but I think it's going to be cool. The Express Color full review is coming next week. Finally, I will have the set with me. They're also sending me the game color set. Oh yeah, the not the full like all of the washes and inks and stuff like that. Just the main 80 colors of the range. It's going to be very exciting. I have my place now reserved for them. I chucked away into a box all my war paints. We are not going to need them anymore. And we're going to put all my game color paints just here, ready to be grabbed. The new formulation is fantastic. And we are also going to have a video, probably, well, one that is 100% going to come is on transforming the, how was the name of that thing? The Emperor's Champion, I think it's the name, yeah, the Emperor's Champion new mini. Transform him into Azrael from the Dark Angels. That's going to come next, and then we are going to have probably, maybe if it's arrived in time, me painting the Underworld's warbands. Stay tuned, I'm very excited about that. I'm painting the undead as Mushion undead. You know, yellow undead, the best undead possible, with some fleur-de-lis and everything. It's going to be really, really cool. But apart from that, that was it. One more comment from Marco, who says, nice, you already sold the full disperse range to me and my dad with just the ogre video. That's great. Stay tuned for the full range. It's going to be awesome. Super excited about that. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I think I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.